76. When it comes to insurance, you should have on your study sheet, you should have insuring a vehicle or vehicle insurance. Do not, I repeat, do not mix this up with home insurance. That's coming later, towards the end of this course. So you have to have vehicle finance. You've got, loans, you've got leasing, you've got buying used, buying new. You've got all these little subcategories labeled correctly. And so insurance, when we talk insurance, is under vehicle finance right now. Some of the things that I would say you should have on your study sheet is that Autopac coverage is comprised of basic all perils coverage. There's a personal injury protection plan and a basic third-party liability. Okay, so that's kind of, those are the questions you answer when you're going through the process of getting insurance. Okay? 76. So, and one more thing, if you, for third-party liability, what does it cover? What does it cover? Damage to your vehicle, cost to someone else's vehicle, or injuries to another individual. I would say that the options are 200,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, and all the way to 10 million. I would say don't settle with the basic 200,000. Go for 1 million at least. I will show you it doesn't cost you that much more. But I don't know if you watched the video, but it doesn't take much for damages to go up to hundreds of thousands, right? If you injure someone and they go for physio, right? They have to go for treatments and they're off work and all of that, right? Like the damages can actually amount to a lot. It doesn't take much, right? And so keep that in mind. Another factor that affects your insurance is hold on. Here, this is something important. I'm going to switch colors. You need to know your deductible. You need to have this on your study sheet. Have the word deductible. And this is what you're responsible for paying on any Autopac claim you make. However, do you remember, let's see if anybody watched the video. You'll make my day if you tell me what's a caveat in this case. Pay attention, guys. What's a caveat for this? Are you always going to pay your deductible if you make a claim? No? When do you pay your deductible? So let's say I cross a stop sign, I didn't see the stop sign, and I hit another car. Who's at fault? I'm at fault, right? I crossed the stop sign without stopping. I will pay the deductible because I am at fault. So you can make a claim, but you're not necessarily going to have to pay the deductible unless you were at fault. So you need to add that you're responsible for paying the deductible if you are at fault. That is very important. This is different. This is different when you're making a home insurance claim. If a tree fell over and it damaged your roof, who's at fault? The tree, right? But you pay as soon as you make a claim, you pay when it's a house insurance claim. When it's vehicle related, it's only if you're at fault. And if you've ever been in an accident, I hope you never have, you will be, but if it's found that you're 50-50 responsible, 50%, you both pay the deductible. Okay? So if you're 50% or more at fault, you pay the deductible. Okay? So 50% or more, which is kind of weird, but there's percentages that they determine how much at fault you were. Okay? Another one that is very important to add, these are risk factors. Okay? The rate depends on the following 4 factors. Can you add, these are the risk factors. Meaning that where you live will increase or decrease the risk of you getting into an accident. The further up north you go, the cheaper your insurance. Why is that? Less density, right? Fewer cars. What you're using your vehicle for, your vehicle, the vehicle itself, and your driving record. These are the merits or demerits that you may have. What you use your vehicle for, I need to make sure you add something to this. Can you add this vehicle usage? Vehicle usage, you can go all-purpose. That's what most of us are going to insure our cars. You can go farm. You have to be a farmer, so most of us don't apply. Then there's layup. That's storage. Can you see that? Layup is storage. And last is pleasure. I call this classic. When you have a classic car that you're only going to take out for a spin every once in a while, you can insure it under pleasure insurance. Okay? Let me add something to pleasure. Can't drive to work. You cannot drive it to work. And 1,600 kilometer limit. That might come in handy. That's 1,000 miles. That's where that comes from. So you cannot drive more than 1,000 miles a year if you have it under pleasure insurance. One thing I found out is if you're taking your kids to school, that's fine. You can drive as much as you want under pleasure if you're bringing your kids to school and you go back home. Okay? So, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it cheating on that. Just go all purpose. If you're going to use it all the time, just go all purpose. But they're the 4 different category of what you can use it for. Okay? Notice that gender doesn't play into this role. Your age doesn't matter either. You could be a driver that's 60 years old and have a bunch of demerits and have a super high driver's license bill every year. Okay? You got to renew every year. You could be 20 years old and actually have a better record than a 60-year-old. Okay? So age doesn't matter either. It's your driving record. How well are you driving? Are you getting into accidents all the time or no? Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Deductible, I talked about that. If you go to page 81, go to page 81, deductible choices. Why is it called a deductible? Let's say you get into you make a claim and you made $40,000 worth of damages, $40,000 to fix everything that was damaged during the accident. If you have a $750 deductible, you're gonna have to pay $750 if you're at fault. They pay the rest. If you have a $500 deductible, you pay $500, Autopac pays the rest. $300, you pay $300, they pay the rest. You know what I mean? So the lower your deductible, right, the more Autopac will pay when you make a claim. So a lower deductible results in higher premiums. I'll say that one more time. If you choose a lower deductible, you will pay more per year for your premium for the service of being insured. Why? Because if you make a claim, you'll pay less up front. So it's kind of like they get you that way. Okay, so I will just say that down here somewhere. Lower deductible will be a higher insurance premium. If you can have that on your study sheet somewhere next to deductible, you know how I asked you to write down deductible and what it is? Somewhere in there, just say a lower deductible will increase the insurance premium. On the other side, contrary to this, if you increase your deductible, you will pay less on your insurance premiums. Okay? Can I ask you to, I have the 200 plus, that's what I have. Look at the 200 plus. If you have a collision and you're at fault, you pay 200. If there's theft or attempted theft of the vehicle, you pay nothing. Glass replacement, I do pay 200. Glass repair, nil. You don't pay anything up front. Collision with an animal, if you hit a deer or a dog or anything, nothing. Vandalism, nothing. Right? All other claims, including fire, partial theft, hail, $200. So if you have the 200 plus, you actually will not be paying it all the time. So that's kind of like a benefit of having the 200 plus, but it was probably the most expensive option. So if you want to have that, this is the most expensive. And so this is the cheapest. Okay? Cheapest, most expensive. So keep that in mind. Okay. I think I'm going to stop here. That's good enough for insurance. Oh, I wanted to show you real quick. Do you know that you can, any car you're planning on buying, you can figure out how much you would be paying for car insurance? Have you ever? Okay, so if you have your phone, you can actually follow along if you don't. So I'm going to zoom out here. Just Google MPI insurance calculator. MPI insurance calculator or something like that. Then I click on insurance calculator. Oh, this is motorcycle. I don't want that one. Let me try again. I'll just figure this out. Insurance, start new estimate. There we go. So this is what you should see at first. So let's say you want to buy a passenger vehicle. You list the year. I'm going to go with 2008 because that's where most of you were born, I think, right? I think so. List makes. You're not going to buy brand new. I don't think so. If you do, then let me know your secret, okay? I'm going to buy a Honda, and then it asks me for make and model. So I'm going to go with CRV. A CRV is just an SUV, right? Continue. It's really very self-explanatory. Guess what? It wants to know your postal code. And that's how it determines where you live. I'm going to go Sisler's postal code here. R2, is it Z? R2X, 0Z1. Sorry, 0Z1. Verify, continue. Make a selection. I'm going to go with all purpose. Continue. And here are some options, watch. Okay. The fourth risk factor is your driving record. If you have discounts, every time you get a year without infractions, you get a discount on this premium, which is pretty sweet. Guess what, guys? I'm not bragging, okay? I'm not bragging because you could get into a crash anytime, but I have the 48% discount, which is way at the bottom. I get almost half of my insurance off. Almost. I will go with no discount. Okay? No discount. What level of deductible do you want? I'm going to go with a 200 plus. What kind of third-party liability would you like? I'm going to go with $1 million. Would you like loss of use coverage? Pay attention to this part. Loss of use is you get a rental vehicle if you get into an accident. Okay, you get a rental. However, it's only for 30 days. And you might think 30 days is plenty. During the winter, it could take a shop 2 months to fix your car. So that's kind of like the bummer. But if you want that, you're going to say yes, right? You're going to say 56. Do you want optional new vehicle protection? I don't need that. Do you want, if your car is more than 70,000, you need to pay extra insurance for that? What payment option do you like? I'm going to go with monthly. Here we go, calculate. So for a Honda CR-V, watch this, it's $1,700 per year or $147 a month in 2025. 2026, it has gone down slightly. So you would be paying $144 a month. So you can find out exactly how much you would be paying if you buy a car. Okay? All you need is the information, plug it in and go. Okay? So that's the insurance calculator for you. Just Google it, MPI rate calculator, and you'll find it. All right.